front-to-back team fighting scaling composition, while EDG, though they did not have as much scaling, managed to pull out a victory with a skirmish-heavy composition thanks to a beautiful flank from Scouts LeBlanc as well as Flandre's Renekton. As we see here going into game 2, JDG switching things up slightly, going with the Kaisa for Loken, while EDG taking the Renekton for Flandre yet again in game 2 and opting for some safety and security with the Xayah. Very interesting pick here, Xayah, considering they had the Filio still available, we had Samira still available. Of course, Samira fallen slightly out of favor with the LPL teams because most teams just know how to play against her now. She is really strong in solo queue, but just having enough CC on your team pretty much guarantees that she will be a non-factor in these fights. And of course, she's the kind of AD carry that doesn't really rely on spells. She doesn't really rely on auto attacks. She really is just ultimate centered, more ultimate centered. People liken her to Katarina, but honestly, I feel like she's more likened to, she's a class of her own, because without her ultimate, if she just doesn't use her ultimate in her entire fight, she really doesn't do that much damage. And if you just smack her out of ultimate with an Udyr bear stance, that's all her damage out the window. But Udyr was banned by EDG this game, so I'm kind of surprised to see them not go for her instead. That being said, a lot of counters to her still are up, as we see over on the side of JDG going for the Ngar and Lilia for both Zoom and Kanavi. Ngar, of course, having a perfect time against Renekton, having that range advantage, kind of nullifying the lane bully factor that Renekton does have. Of course, if Renekton manages to get on top of Ngar, things could be very different, but at the pro level, that proceeds to be very hard. The only time Ngar will probably allow that was when Ngar hits his Mega Ngar form in order to get his stun off with his Wallop. Meanwhile, rounding out the first 3 picks for the side of EDG, we have a Talia, which opens up. Talia Renekton is pretty good. I mean, Nidalee was still up, but EDG opting instead for the Talia. Talia with a fantastic clear and also has great zone control in a way, because if you want to jump in as a Ngar, as a Kaisa through the pebble field, you're going to take a lot of damage. There's a Caliban and Syndra ban coming out, both teams pinching the mid lane champion pool. There is of course supports to be considered, because supports play such a central role in the game now. As we will see here, EDG most probably see will see a Leona ban, a Galio ban going over there on the side of EDG on to Yagao. I do suppose this is both a support and mid flex ban, which is pretty good, honestly. Meanwhile, on the side of JDG, deciding on a final ban, they could opt for double AP here on the side of EDG. I don't think it's so bad. I think it's going for the Lucian ban instead to ensure that it's a more likely than not going to be a double AP. Of course, EDG do have AD mid laners that they can use to their disposal, and they probably will consider pulling some of them out with the Leona lock in, waiting to see what the mid lane of JDG will play out. Yagao, of course, is a famous Zoe player. He, of course, can play the likes of Victor. Unfortunately, Victor leaves his entire team kind of vulnerable to a Yon pick, because Yon does exceptionally well into Victor in the lane. He pretty much has a free lane. As Alistar is picked, the 2 premier LPL supports have been selected for this game. Can't say I'm too surprised. And Yagao wanting to show Scout up, wanting to show Scout that, you know what, 2 can play the LeBlanc game. Yagao, of course, a fantastic LeBlanc player in his own right. And let's see here what Scout likes in response to his previous round pick of the LeBlanc. Hovering the Lissandra there for just a moment before changing over to the Victor. I quite like Victor in this. Lots of range, lots of zone control. They have pretty short range champions over there on the side of JDG. The Ngar, the Kaisa, every single player honestly is pretty short range except for the LeBlanc, because she can close gaps. But in order to close gaps, the LeBlanc will leave herself pretty open, honestly, to getting kind of exploded by just the vast amount of damage available on the side there of EDG. Another reason that Samira isn't so great is because of the host of CC that Leona brings into a team. So you can pretty much counter pick her with a Leona pick. Looking at both these teams now, we have a very much team fighting JDG as opposed that doesn't scale as hard as the EDG does on the right side. EDG with a strong side top lane. Okay, even though Ngar does beat Renekton in lane to a certain extent, he potentially can be dove if Renekton manages to set up the wave properly. It's just a matter of how the players play it. In the mid lane, I'm quite liking Victor's position, and in the bot lane, it looks to be a pretty even game. Both the supports don't really contribute too much to the push potential, which means it is just a Kai'Sa against a Xayah. Xayah, at the cost of a lot of mana, will be able, of course, to outpush Kai'Sa, especially the longer the game goes. Let's just see how both teams decide to play this out. I'm pretty sure that EDG has better scaling in this game. They have, while they don't have a necessary tank, they do have a semi-tank in the form of the Leona, and drain tanking on the Renekton is incredibly strong with the Gore Drinker as well as Dominus as well as Call the Meek, which will give him back a ton of health points. Same can be said over to the side of JDG. Zoom will eventually go for most likely a Stride Breaker or Gore Drinker, while Love Mao on the Alistar can provide a bit of tankiness when his ultimate is up. So far though, EDG has been playing a phenomenal series of games as the spring split seems to be rolling up to around the middle part of it. As the players are shown on screen, today's highlight match of the day is JDG versus EDG. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who did not know, and as we jump right into the game, a little bit of action here as three members of JDG looking to get some vision onto the side of EDG. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, the bot laners are just simply staring, having a good old stare down as Zoom takes a bit of damage. Just managed to pick up his boomerang after throwing it at Flandre. Flandre just holding his ground, wanting to bait out the ward of Zoom. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Loken and Lovema walking into the pixel bush. Mako seemingly trying to dodge his own Xayah's feathers there as Loken fakes a ward. And just like that, really nothing much happens. The ward fake there was good. I mean, it was a good try, but I think Viper noticed as he went up to check that there was not actually no ward dropped. As JJ is starting up his red buff without a leash. That being said, I'm pretty sure that the members of JDG are confident in knowing that he is on that side as Scout is stepping up forward aggressively with his Q. Electrocute coming out from Yagao, chunking him for a bit of the damage even through his Q shield. As Kanavi with a leash begins his rapid clear. Both Lilia and Talia clear exceptionally well. Talia, of course, with her buff as Mako stepping forward onto Lovemao and Loken. Both the supports with Aftershock, we will tank up a significant amount of damage as Kanavi level 2 after finishing Raptors jump in and just getting some damage onto Scout, chunking Scout. Scout with his teleport will be able to back as Kanavi steals Raptors, looking to steal Raptors from JJ, but JJ is up here as well. JJ, unfortunately, without his leash, has taken a significant amount of damage and is slightly slower on the clear. Yagao actually has so much pressure in this lane. He's got more HP, he's got more mana as Kanavi turns the corner into JJ, who is just about finishing his Krugs right about now. JJ probably will just be giving this up. Good amount of early aggression coming over there on the side of JDG. Well thought out and executed. Zoom with his priority top lane will also be able to rotate to help his jungler with his dangerous endeavors. And just like that, the game state for the junglers has been shaken a little bit more unpredictable. Scout with his sustain has managed to come back to half HP, but he still has to play so safe because they have no idea where Kanavi is. He could be over the wall looking to flash and use his W. Scout with his summoner spells is in a pretty decent position, and of course the protection that his shield provides him from his Siphon power ability. That's his Q for those of you who do not know. In the bot lane, we've got EDG with the push priority, a beautiful recall from the feathers, managing to root Lovemao in position for Mako to hit him with some follow-up CC. Nice bit of chunking going on there as Mako walking up to ensure that the Scuttle Crab is defended and allow his jungler to getting some deep wards as well. Might as well, considering that the wave is pushed up now. Kanavi, just finishing up his side of jungle, will have a crab to himself as well, as both his laners have significant priority, both his solo laners have significant priority over their counterparts. First recalls coming in there for the jungler. Most likely Kanavi after this will recall as well, as there is literally nothing on the top side of the map to look for. He could perhaps look for a gank, but it's quite unlikely that he'll be able to get much done. Scout, in spite of losing so much HP in the beginning, actually is 7 CS ahead. Still has both his summoners, tons of mana still. And I suppose that just tells you the benefits of starting that Doran's ring start. Gives you so much mana back for just having proper CS. And in the top side, Zoom pushing a slight bit of an advantage, however not very significant, as Yaga now training on to Scout, getting some damage for Scout actually being chunked quite significantly as JJ floats into lane to help his mid laner to push out the wave in order to allow Scout to get a proper reset off. As we see here, nothing that Yaga can really do to it, as Kanavi is in the bottom side clearing out his Krugs. Kanavi building himself up a pretty decent lead here after stealing only one camp technically from the side of EDG. JJ is a little bit behind, but it's not too significant a number. As Kanavi looking is set up for a dive. Here is level 5 to the level 3 of Viper and Mako as the dive comes up. Swirl Seed misses completely. Mako looking to be in position. Lovemouth flashing after Viper, who flashes away. Viper very low on mana, does not have the ultimate to stay safe, but Mako brings down the support of Lovemouth. Scout having TP'd behind is in the perfect position, can use flash to go over the wall as Flandre is coming in. Mako is taken really low by the Loken and Kanavi. Kanavi jumping up, prancing up towards the top side, however is going to be hunted down by Flandre as JJ trying to throw some pebbles in over. Mako gets the kill on to Kanavi post-mortem as Loken opting to give it to the likes of the support rather than the mid laner of EDG. A rather disastrous dive there attempted on the side of JDG. Mako and Viper doing a phenomenal job just ensuring that the defense of ensuring that they could buy as much time as possible. Mako with his defenses of his W as well as his well-timed stuns, keeping the mount in place. A slight bit of over-aggression there by the members of JDG for sure, and they are punished very well. Of course, credit where credit is due, and the willingness of the solo laners of EDG to just use their teleports and pretty much forsake their lanes. In spite of all that, though, Scout is still ahead of CS, and as to be expected, Zoom is now gathered himself a 10 CS lead, considering Flandre had to go down there, secure himself a kill. But 10 CS in exchange for 300 gold, I think, is a very, very much worthwhile use of your time. So Flandre can't be too upset about that either. And with Dragon having been taken down about 40 seconds ago, Rift Herald will be the next point of contestation in 30 seconds, as in a minute and 30 seconds, as Kanavi is stealing away the Krugs of JJ, and the entire top side of JJ actually looks to be in danger of being poached by Kanavi, who is actually channeling his recall, opting instead to get his item. Oh, never mind. Oh, as Kanavi is actually spotted out there. We have nobody in the mid lane. Yagao is not there. Okay, Yagao is there, never mind. In order to provide the pressure, JJ walking up towards the top side is level 6. Scout is moving up as well. Scout having collected himself nothing from that roam is looking to get something now as Flandre, after pushing out the wave, is here. Kanavi nearly jumping into him. Flandre has flash, Scout has flash, Kanavi does not have flash. However, the movement speed he gets from using his Q on Scout is enough to get him to prance out. Look at how fast that Bambi is running as JJ jump in. Mako jumps over with the blast plant to the surprise of Yaga, who quickly takes his distortion back. And the bot lane of the support of EDG rotating up in order to see if his team required assistance. A bit of a late rotation, but very good either way. It saves his jungler from a potential death to the hands of Yagao. And pretty much nothing much going on here until about 10 seconds from now, as we see the bot laners from JDG are recalling and are moving up in this lane. Flandre jumping in onto Zoom, knowing that his jungler is there, wanting to try and get a stun off and perhaps secure a kill. JJ stopping instead in the tribush to secure some gold for himself. Flandre using his empowered W in order to clear out the wards, as the bottom laners of JDG have almost arrived now into the mid lane. Kanavi starts up the Rift Herald and Yagao getting some fruits in the river in order to replenish his mana. Doesn't look to be a contested Rift Herald. That being said, JJ is over the wall. JJ does have his ultimate to split up the fight. Scout a little bit low on mana, but enough for at least 1.5 rotations, as a flash is coming in there from Lovemouth. But intuition from the side of EDG causes them to run away from that tight choke point, knowing that Alistar is most likely nearby, considering Kaisa is happily farming the lane nearby in the middle lane. Kanavi secures the Rift Herald as quickly as it has spawned pretty much, and we can expect to see another one of those in about the 13-minute mark. Or 14-minute mark, sorry. And just like that, both the bot laners go back into the bottom side, and in spite of a pretty catastrophic dive in the bottom side, EDG is still behind about 500 gold, just probably CS from CS built up from the top end jungle of JDG, but it's pretty low amount, nothing too big to cry about. Scout with his blue buff will be able, and his upgraded E will be able to match the push of Yagao, who, unbeknownst to him, is about to be surrounded by 4 members towards the bottom side. But in the last moment, they see the bot lane of JDG slightly out of position and opt to go back to that. Instead, JJ opting to pick himself up a bucket of raptors before he goes and tries and secures himself the support and mid laner of JDG as a ward going out there on the side from Love Mao, trying to get away from Mako's super exposed, but Mako does find it in the tail end over there. Flandre just consistently just taking damage from Zoom, even under his tower. All that being considered, he is still 16 CS behind only, which is not so bad. It's about 3 waves. 3 waves down. It's quite a significant number, but is what to be expected when he was counterpicked by the Ngar pick, as Yagao is just clearing out the wave here. Reset here from Scout, as well as the bot lane of EDG, as this is going to be a real mouthful. As in 20 seconds, Dragon is about to spawn. Kanavi just clearing out some vision in his own jungle. Bit of a late reset here coming in from Loken. Let's see if the members of EDG get onto the map fast enough to take advantage of this late reset, as Yagao jumping forward to try and take away whatever advantages EDG can potentially use to contest this dragon. Quick swig of water before the fireworks and action kickstart, as Rift Herald is plonked down in the mid lane. JJ in the top side, it's telling me that EDG are not interested in the slightest to try and contest this, as Scout is taking a bit of damage from Yagao. Trading back a little bit of damage as well, but Yagao getting the better of that trade. JDG still not opting to start up this dragon because they have no idea where JJ is. They know he could be somewhere around the bottom side, but little did they know he was actually in the top side, and due to the stalling that they managed to do, JJ is on the way to the bottom side. He is most likely to be in range of his ultimate in about 3 to 5 seconds. Flandre nearly has his teleport, and Zoom actually does not have his teleport. I don't believe he used it in any flanks or attempts on EDG's life, meaning he just used it to get some lane priority and dominance. Flandre's teleport comes up just as Dragon goes down, and Kanavi makes another stroll through the middle lane to try and pick up the top side Scuttle Crab. Looks to be quite uncontested as well. Mako and Viper in the bottom side seem to be holding up pretty well, and unfortunately have seemed to lost the priority that they got in the early game a little bit, probably because they're a bit worried that Kanavi might be down there looking for something. Both AD carries exactly even in terms of farm, and the items of Scout are telling me that he wants to go for Leandries as opposed to the Ludens, which makes sense because they are all quite low ranged. Not really much assassinate potential coming out. It's just Yagao he needs to worry about, and as we've seen, he can trade back to Yagao quite effectively. Loken and Love Mao here, just always looking for some aggression, while the junglers are just simply farming. Really, not much happening this game aside from that big dive at the bottom lane of EDG, and that was at level 3 and level 5 for the bot laners, and oh my goodness, from the bot laners and junglers of both teams. So really, quite a relaxing game for the players. Not too catastrophic. We see everyone simply just farming it out to the best of their abilities. But that's what happens when you have the Lilias and the Talias, I suppose. Lilia is just expected to want to farm and counter jungle and get those little advantages. And considering that the game has been going pretty even for the most part, it means that the ability of Kanavi to counter jungle and farm so quickly has actually garnered him a slight lead, as Zoom looked to be in danger of a gank here. However, the members of EDG decide there's no need to try and force anything. There are no objectives on the map, and if we lose out here, Flandre could be set extremely far behind. Not to mention the God Drinker is complete on the side of Zoom, while Flandre still only has his Iron Spike Whip, so probably won't want to try anything too fancy. The bottom side looks like Loken and Love Mao are looking... Oh, they could have considered themselves getting a plate. I would have liked to see them get that plate. Honestly, it is so incredibly low. Perhaps they would still get... No, they don't. Unfortunately, the minions eat up that plate. As Viper, having finished his Gale Force, is going to be a huge problem for the members of JDG to try and take down. He has so much safety with his Flash, as well as his heal. He's got his Summoners, extra mobility from his Gale Force, as well as the super safety button of his ultimate. pretty much means that there's very little way that he's going to get exploded by anything here. What's going to be able to reach him as well? The Ngar jump is quite low range. Love Mao needs to get incredible from the Fog of War jump onto him. Loken probably, with his Gale Force, will probably be able to assassinate him surprisingly fast as well. But to a large extent, I feel that Viper is an incredibly safe position right about now. He doesn't need to worry about much whatsoever. I think as long as he just keeps farming, and JDG is a kind of dive composition right now. They're kind of low ranged. They need to jump in onto the members of EDG. So being able to keep their distance from JDG is of paramount importance for EDG, and they look to be in perfect position to do that. As Rift Herald is just about spawned right about now, JDG with their bot lane, with Loken still in the bottom side, is actually starting up the Rift Herald. Yagao jumping over to get some damage over. Both the AD carries are coming up at around the same time. For now, it is a 4v4, but a nice concave is set up there on the side of EDG as the wall comes out, splitting Zoom up from Lovemao as well as Kanavi, as Lovemao is just tanking up all the damage from EDG. A flash coming in there to jump onto the members of EDG. JJ getting taken out by Zoom. Zoom in the middle of the fight is using his God Drinker to try and tank up damage as much as possible. Is stunned up by Mako. A 1-for-1 jungler for top laner trade as Lovemao limps out of that fight with barely any HP. All the ultimates on the side of EDG as well as JDG were used, and just like that, team fight is ended. Loken jumped on there by Flandre, as we saw Zoom buying quite a lot of time with his God Drinker, able to just tank it up. Kanavi trying to jump onto Flandre now, but Mako is over the wall as well as Scout. Both cancel their recall. Kanavi going a little bit too deep. Flandre landing the stun and taking out Kanavi without the assistance of Scout, who was in range. Just pure damage coming out. I don't know what Kanavi was trying to do over there. There was no way he was taking out that crocodile, especially if you go right up to him and let him stun you. As we see in the fight here, Lovemao, a beautiful wall coming in there from JJ, sealing Lovemao away from Team Mako, stuns him, walks back. Lovemao just tossed around. Flash coming in there from JJ, trying to not dodge the knock up. Viper with his ultimate as well as Gale Force getting into a perfect position, just laying out the damage onto Zoom, and Mako just keeping Zoom in place for a moment longer to allow Scout to finish him off. We see Flandre walking up, finds Loken and decides, hey, you know what? You can't do this. Flashes onto him, forcing the flash from Loken, getting the cleanse as well with his W. And at the tail end of that, Kanavi just going a little bit too deep for the enemy top laner. Renekton might not be as strong as... It might not have been that strong, but he was most definitely strong enough to solo out the Lilia. Lilia needs to kite him. The second she gets stunned, it's pretty much over for her. As both teams, just as quickly, before Rift Herald is even taken down, Kanavi is starting up the Dragon. Andre forcing out Kanavi's flash with very aggressive posturing and the dominance active. Lovemao in the back of pit does not have any way of getting out. Pops his ultimate extremely early. He's not going to have that for a large majority of the fight, as Flandre is jumped on there by Lovemao. However, only 4 members of JDG are in the area, while 5 members of EDG are in position to just continuously put out damage. Scout putting out the ultimate onto Zoom, chasing him out of the fight. So much damage coming in there as Yagao tries to jump in. However, the beautiful secure there by JJ allows EDG to leave, and the third dragon of the game goes over towards them. Whoa, this was a... Oh, as Yagao is nearly taken out by JJ and Viper. The range of EDG is just... The range and the zone control, the ability to split up members of JDG is just extremely potent, especially considering the differences in the team compositions there for both teams. EDG playing to their compositions beautifully, actually splitting them up so perfectly, as yet again JDG not one to sit on their laurels, is actually starting up Rift Herald for the 3rd time this game, as EDG is in position. Flandre with a much quicker rotation than Zoom. This could potentially be devastating, as the wall coming out, splitting up cancelling out the exits, as Rift Herald goes over to Kanavi, but Scout explodes Lovemao. Mako jumping in onto Yagao, who's still been stunned up despite of him moving. Zoom in position, however, does not have his ultimate and is not in Mega Ngar form. Yagao throws his illusion over to try and get EDG to chase him, and a kite back Zoom slowing 3 members with the boomerang, however, is a little bit out of position. So if they're coming in, however, Zoom in very good positioning, managing to survive that. Lovemao going down there for the Rift Herald. Worst things could happen, but that being said, the long haul, the long term is not looking so great here for JDG, as they do not scale as well as EDG, and EDG already at this point in time, before their jungler has even completed his mythic item, are looking to be very strong in these team fights. Now 100 gold ahead, minuscule number, but considering the fact that they were behind by 500 gold at one point, shows you the state of this game. JDG are not in a comfortable position. They need to be looking for the most opportune and fantastic of flanks. However, that is so difficult to do against the team that EDG has, the zone control of both the Talia as well as the Victor, as well as the safety of Xayah, which we highlighted early on, which is compounded further with that Gale Force purchase, as Scout actually... Oh, did he get it? Wait, did he get it? I don't know. It's either JJ smote it at the last moment. Mid tower for EDG is going to go down as the second retail of the game is tossed into it. Baron is spawning in 10 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. You bet that we are going to see some contestation over that. I am very excited. This time I will bring you a better play-by-play with more... Oh, my mouth is very sore. With the AD carries of both JDG and EDG in the middle of the game, in the middle of the lane, sorry. Yagao is getting free push in the bottom side, but this gives EDG the ability to look to clear out the vision of JDG in the Baron and in topside river. However, they're just opting to go for some mid-tower pressure instead. Getting mid-tower is so big because it opens up a lot of space here for EDG. EDG are most definitely going to secure this as Yagao is still in the bottom side. Flandre in the top side does have his teleport. Flandre so far has been key in these team fights, as has the walls coming out from JJ. And just overall, EDG are fighting very well together as a team. No one's overcommitting. No one's trying for things that are too far. They have shown a lot of restraint, as we saw the JJ from the top side looking to gank for Flandre, but eventually deciding, you know what, there's no need to force this. We just play together as a team later and it will be fine. Zoom here, just pushing out the waves as resets are coming in for the side of EDG. When they return onto the map, they will most likely be looking to start up Baron or even threaten to start up Baron. JDG now looking to secure vision in the top side of EDG with their priority in 2 lanes. 5 members are in 10 people are in the top side of the map, except for the Victor, as Zoom just jumping away from Flandre, getting quite annoying for Flandre, however not really doing too much damage to him yet. That being said, the damage is only going to go down from here as Flandre starts picking up more and more items. 3 members of JDG are looking to death bush at the Raptor bush. However, EDG, knowing better than to go anywhere near their top side, realize that Flandre is on an island, and if he does get dove, they can potentially respond with a dragon take, but opting to just get as much as they can. Flandre, feeling quite secure with his Sterox and Goddrinker as well as his Dominus, feels that there's a pretty low chance that he will get doven. JDG here need to force something. They need to look to bring EDG into them. I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm not saying it's going to cause a lot of success. However, it is extremely hard to fight this EDG composition. If you can, they know that they scale, so they're never going to take a fight unless they are forced to. So that's the only benefit of these objectives. That being said, if EDG having set up for Dragon first, as Scout goes to sleep, Kanavi hitting him with the Swirl Seed, but Mako trying to defend him. Scout's flash is forced out as ultimate coming in from Loken. Ultimates are being dropped to left, right, and center. However, people are only getting slightly chunked out. Scout chunking back. Yagao is at quarter HP. Zoom flashes over the wall, gets his stun onto Scout, kills him off. Mako is trying to defend, and JJ using his abilities over the wall, trying to chunk out Zoom. Zoom actually surprisingly tanky with his own Goddrinker, as Flandre is in the middle of the team, gets knocked away from his team by Levmao. Flandre flashes onto Loken and nearly takes him out. One more Q will do the trick as Viper gets onto Loken. Levmao is tagged by Mako. Mako is just setting up the kills for his team so well, and Levmao trying his best to stall for time. 2 members of his team are backing off now, using the blast plant to try to escape to safety. However, into the hands of Viper he goes, as Flandre makes a recall in order to pick up that top side wave, no doubt, as well as having this teleport. He'll be able to return with full HP should the need arise, and as it looks now, the need will not arise anytime soon. Scout taken out extremely early in that fight there. However, Flandre just getting onto Loken and allowing his team to catch up as well. Flandre is just so huge in these fights, as we see here. A lot used to try and get to Scout. Lilia ult use, the Kai'Sa ultimate use, and then Scout just flashes away from all the danger. JJ, you having to use his Zonias quite early, gets hit by the Swirl Seed, is getting chunked quite low, and then Zoom here over the wall, flashing and using his ultimate onto one person. They do get Scout. However, look at Flandre in the backline, forcing Kanavi's Zonias, and then later killing or nearly killing him off as well. Love Mao trying his best to stop Flandre. Flandre just getting onto Loken with his flash, stunning him. Loken forced to use his cleanse, but then the slice and the dice just keeps Flandre on top of him, and then Viper flashing in to help finish off Loken. Flandre simply 1v4ing in the backline over there. It's not allowing the rest of EDG to get run over by JDG. Oh, as Yagao nearly distorting forward into a face full of pebbles. The dragon also going over to EDG, bringing them to soul point. Now the only point of contestation available is this Baron. JDG will need to look for picks for sure in order for this fight to not go very, very badly for them. As Flandre helping to defend Scout's blue buff from Zoom, who is the most fed member in the game, honestly. And would probably be in a better position if he managed to get more than one person there in ultimate. A lot used to try and get Scout out of the fight there, and they did succeed. However, just too much was used, and in the end, Flandre and Viper were just allowed to run rampant in there. This is the LPL Renekton that we know, and which we know to we have grown to know to fear. Sorry, when things get a bit hype, my words just get jumbled up, and they just don't become not very eligible to anybody. So now JDG, terrible position to be in. They are super. All things considered, though, they actually are only about 600 gold behind from EDG. But this is one of those games where the gold really does not tell the tale. The kills help you form a more complete picture of what's going on in this game, as EDG are just playing so well together, able like a seesaw, able to just pressure where they need to, and when people are falling back, different members in different locations in the fight just make plays. Flandre over there literally carrying his team, not allowing his team to be pushed away from the dragon, not allowing his team to be collapsed upon by more members, nearly taking out Kanavi. And just like that, EDG, it's going to be so hard to pick them as well because they keep on moving together as a team. They've got good vision established. They're clearing out the waves. They're playing everything very, very safely. JDG with barely any split push. The only person that you can perhaps look to pick in the side lanes is perhaps the Victor, who will be playing towards the strong side while they'll send Flandre towards the weak side. Flandre, as we've seen in that fight, more than capable of taking a 1v2 or 1v3, and maybe if he's given enough time, a 1v4 and buying tons of time. See, weak side, Flandre without any vision in the bottom side is sent to get a push going. And he knows that if it's just Zoom, he will be perfectly fine. And if it's more than Zoom, EDG can brute force their way into Baron and force it. It's a very sticky situation for JDG to be in, and it'll be exciting to see how they can find a way out of this situation. As Yagao going for the Morelos second item here, can't say I'm a big fan of it. It's mainly for Flandre for sure. However, his team does need some healing cut, and I suppose Zoom, I think I would have been perfectly fine with just the Oblivion Orb and then going for flat out damage or some penetration perhaps to try and one-shot things. The thing is though, who is he going to one-shot? We've got Zonias on GG's Talia. We've got an insane amount of tanky stats from Flandre. Mako is being jumped on by Yagao, but Yagao better watch out because he is quite alone. And if Mako decides to turn on him as well, it could potentially lead to his own demise. The only really person that Yagao will look to explode right now is Scout, and Scout has a stopwatch. Again, the safety of Xayah cannot be stressed enough, and you really want to blow up Mako. I suppose Mako would be fine. Blowing him out would free up a lot of pressure as damage is coming in. Love Mao failing his WQ combo, actually not managing to get it out, pushing Scout to safety. Scout's positioning has been perhaps the only little point of danger in this game mode so far. Mako just tanking up this roll seed for his mid laner as the fifth dragon of the game is spawning in 30 seconds time. Yagao is looking to be in position as Lemao flashes over the wall. Flandre, Viper using his ultimate in the wrong direction, however just forcing it out is the purpose of that beautiful Hex Flash into the WQ combo. Mako is being jumped on by Zoom as well as Yagao, as Flandre is in the backline yet again, gets knocked up, gets ngarred into the wall by Zoom, but only gets hit by him. Scout put to sleep, but using his Zonias in order to ensure his safety. Him and Viper on the side there. Ooh, Gale Force forward aggressively there by Viper to try and take out Kanavi. Kanavi, knowing better than to step up, is actually put so so low as 3 members of JDG are incredibly low. The wall coming out from JJ, splitting JDG up away from the dragon actually, as Flandre coming in, Yaga rooting him in place. Zoom is using his jump but not getting much distance as Flandre gets a stun onto him. Force flash is Zoom. Flandre is actually being traded back beautifully there by Zoom. Zoom with his fleet foot able to kite out, and JDG managing to stall out the Dragon Soul for another 5 minutes. A beautiful turn of events there by JDG, looking for the fight, forcing EDG to come into the fog of war to try and face check, and jumping in onto their key members. Viper's ultimate forced out there by Love Mao, who manages to run away from that even after forcing out their ultimate. A beautiful set of events coming in there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I can't say enough. JDG are playing an exceptional game, but so is EDG. Unfortunately, I still must say that I like EDG's position a lot more. They have Soul Point. They also have an easier comp, I'd say, to execute than the members of JDG, but these people are not professionals for nothing, and do not worry, we will most likely see a lot more action before the game ends. That being said, you can never really tell the future. The game could end within the next fight. That's just how explosive games in the LPL tend to be. Now, looking at the items here, a lot more value, I'd say, coming out from Viper, finishing 3 huge items, his Gale Force IE, as well as his, dang, I forgot what the item's called. It's been a long time. Essence Reaver, sorry, thank you very much. And over on the side of Loken, he actually only has a Collector Gale Force and a Runans. Runans, a relatively cheap item following the changes to it. However, I suppose it should be fine. And we'll see what he can do. Again, it's so hard to try and assassinate any of the members of EDG. They've itemized so safely. Stopwatch onto Viper on top of the additional safety that he has. His ultimate is back up yet again. He also, and then 2 Zhonya's coming out from the AP members of EDG as Zoom is pressuring on the bottom side there. Scout trying his best to, Yagao trying his best to find something on the Scout. Scout is running forward very aggressively, and honestly, Scout has been very aggressive and is perhaps the only thing that you can really take advantage of as JDG. Flandre opting to group with his team because he does not have teleport. Zoom with teleport is pushing the advantage as Flandre starts up the Baron. Vision is fully in favor of the members of EDG as Zoom's teleport is forced out very, very quickly. The wall coming out to try and block off the members of JDG. The Baron is going down so incredibly fast with the damage from Xayah as well as Talia as Lemao jumping in to try and run interference. He's so zoomed from his team, but Flandre is doing the exact same thing that he's doing. Kanavi flash in, try and steal. However, JJ secures it. Loken is being chased down by the Chaos Storm as Scout pops his Zhonya's. Mako jumping in on to Yagao and stunning him up. Yagao actually surviving with a little bit of help. Will Andrew take him down? Not quite sure. Zoom is in the middle of 5 people, is draining so much HP, is trying to tank what he can. However, a catastrophe unfolds in front of our very eyes for the members of JDG as a split fight. Levmal going for the backline of JDG while Flandre doing the same to the backline of... Wait, what? Levmal going for the backline of EDG while Flandre doing the same to JDG's backline, and in the end, Flandre is just a bigger threat because he provides CC as well as kill threat. And just like that, EDG have blown open the game, have acquired a huge lead now, 4.2k gold ahead after that little fight. 3 members of JDG going down as well as the Baron. Kanavi trying to jump in there in the last moment to steal it away from JJ, who secures it with a beautiful smite, forcing out Kanavi's Zhonya's as well. We get a replay of that fight. We see Love Mao feeling pressure jumping in to the carries, and we see a Flandre flashing over the wall, just jumping straight onto Kanavi, trying to explode him. Kanavi actually flashing over the wall in time. Flandre using his Zhonya's to buy some time, using his stopwatch, as Loken is just chased out of the fight by the Chaos Storm, and Mako jumping onto Yagao. A beautiful catch there. Zoom forced to use his ultimate to try and save his mid laner, while successfully doing it, however, trading his life back in return as Viper, untouched in that entire fight, only having to use his ultimate, and just his ultimate is nearly up again, still has his stopwatch. Viper hasn't had to use his flash or heal in the longest time, is so safe with the team that he has built around him, and Loken can't say the same for him as his team is all about going in. So when this big angry crocodile or that raging chaos storm comes in to try and take him out, he really is kind of left to his own devices. The only out he has is to run away or to jump into the high damage carries of EDG. JJ just camping on top of Viper, and Mako playing between the front and the back beautifully as Viper jumping in with his Gale Force, nearly taking Yaga out to half HP with 1 to 2 auto attacks and his W. Viper playing very confidently now, feeling very, very safe with his team as both AD carries finish their 5th item and are looking to get to the 6th item mark. 33 minutes into the game, incredibly fast. 5 seconds until the next dragon spawns. JDG not looking to be in position to get this. A beautiful Weaver's Wall coming out, and yet again EDG just rinsing and repeating, zoning them out from this, able to secure the Infernal Soul so quickly. Lovemao having to jump in early to try and get his to buy time for his team, is taken out so low. Zoom nearly coming mega Ngar as Kanavi's ultimate coming out, stunning out Flandre as well as Mako coming. Oh, jumping in, Zoom, but it's exploded by the CC. Flandre is on to Kanavi. Jumping away is Yagao, and JJ zoning Loken, actually face checking into too much. He's forced to use his Zonias as the Chaos Storm coming out. Loken tagged by the slow of the Solar Flare. However, it is not enough as Kanavi is who manages to run away from a raging Viper. And the beauty of this composition is just too much as Scout finishes off. Not quite sure how he did that, but he finishes off Lovemao. Maybe a blind death ray into the bush might have secured that kill. And as we see here, EDG just further extending their lead without the Baron buff. Flandre, overstepping slightly, getting a little bit too ahead. It will be taken out by Ignite just barely as the Crocodile is finally taken down. His perfect score has been marred slightly by Yagao's Ignite. And Yagao now can take that consolation prize to the bank as Baron is spawning in 2 minutes, and he'll have plenty of time to spend all that money up. As we see in the fight here, look at this Weaver's Wall combination. It's just so beautiful. Kanavi has no way of getting across. Loken, no way of getting across as well. Not even in range to use his ultimate as Lovemao chunked out, tanking so much damage with his ultimate, man, forced to flash out. And then Zoom here on the side is just getting chased down by Scout. Nice sleep here onto Flandre and to Mako. However, they are the tanky members. They're not really the ones you want to get. As look at that beautiful stun there from Flandre on to Zoom, who's just continued on and destroyed before he lands. And now with the Guardian Angel coming out onto Flandre, Flandre is actually a huge threat. I am not quite sure how they are ever going to be able to take care of him twice. It took him jumping into a 1v3 situation at half HP for him to nearly go down, as things are looking quite grim here for the members of JDG. But however, I've been saying that for the past 10 minutes, things have not really changed. JDG nearing the end of their items for their top laner as well as their AD carry. However, look at the mid lane, only 4 items in. Both mid laners actually are only 4 items in. But I'm pretty sure that Scout, once he gets his there we go, at his 5 item mark, teleport coming in to try and take out Yagao, who is low on mana. Banshees is popped by the Death Ray. Zhonya's forced out there. Scout trying to dodge out all the damage from Yagao, who tries to run away. Oh, Loken jumping in. The Weaver's Wall is coming in as well. Zoom jumping in to finish up the kill. Weaver's Wall unfortunately blocked Scout from his escape path. Not that he was ever going to escape from Loken, who's got so much mobility with his ultimate, his own running, and Gale Force as well. Beautiful pick coming out there. Slight overextension by EDG, as we saw yet again. Scout again stepping up a little bit too aggressively. It was a good attempt. The Banshees blocking that Death Ray actually managed to save Yagao, in my opinion, as we see here, using his Zonias to dodge out the distortion, which is going to be a large chunk of damage from Yagao, and then continuing to chase Loken, jumping in, pretty much taking him out purely from the initial burst of damage. And just like that, JDG now have provided themselves have opened the window, a breath of fresh air for the next 10 seconds as Lovemao, in a slightly suspicious situation, was forced to use his chem tank because he thought that he'd be in a terrible position. Yagao using his distortion to try and clear out whatever vision he can, as well as perhaps pop that blast plant, as we see right there. JDG opting to start it up as Scout is running from base Scout without his teleport. JDG, this is highly risky, but they must do this. Yagao with a nice flank. Actually, the entire members of EDG, 4 members, are pincered between the 5 members of JDG as they go in. Now Viper using his ultimate is stunned up by Zoom, who uses his stopwatch. Lovemao is taken incredibly low, is taken out eventually by Viper using his Gale Force. Flandre in the backline is actually zoning out 2 members, as Scout is actually zoning out 2 members in the top as well. Beautiful series of fight there as the Guardian Angel of Flandre is popped. Loken in a suspicious situation is still zoned off by the Weaver's Wall. However, no members of EDG go down as JDG suffered 2 losses, and there's no way now that they can contest this Baron. It's going down so quickly. That Infernal Soul providing so much additional damage on top of the damage that this team already has. Incredible team fighting there on the side of EDG, taking so many split fights. It was 3 fights in 1. Flandre zoning 2, Scout zoning 2, and Viper with Mako just taking care of the last member, who was Zoom, if I am not mistaken. And pretty much at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we're just waiting for EDG to find the fight they need to turn the game to take the game to the house. JDG, I'm not saying it's impossible for them to win the game. However, I'm just saying it's quite unlikely as Yagao look at a single auto attack with the Infernal Soul damage, chunking Yagao for a ton of his HP. Elder Dragon spawning in a minute. Already so much overwhelming damage coming in from the side of EDG. Pretty much there's no chance at all for JDG to come back from this. If Elder Dragon goes over to EDG, JDG is going to get run down simply. They're going to get sprinted down upon. It is not going to be a pretty sight at all. EDG looking to just stop pressuring, not looking to set up for Elder Dragon too early, and just looking to poke out members of JDG with their Infernal Soul and their superior range advantage. It's actually a catastrophic position to be in, as JDG can't even look to make plays over the wall. JJ zoning with his pebble toss. Look at Yagao trying his best to jump in onto JJ, but the pebbles are just too much. Flandre with his flank, and four members of JDG are in an unfortunate position. In comes Viper, out goes Yagao, and Zoom soon to follow him. Force a flash over the wall, will not have that for the next fight. Is deep in enemy territory, or depends on how you look at it, could potentially be considered with a fantastic flanking position, but this Elder Dragon is going to go down so quickly. We've seen the damage output coming out from that Xayah and that Talia disgustingly high, as Elder Dragon is simply scooped up. Zoom doing his best to try and proxy the waves to stall forlorn as he is to try and stall out this game as much as possible, but EDG just going 5 members strong, not even looking to recall down the middle lane with Yagao still lit for 20 seconds. I am pretty sure he will be back up in order to see his Nexus explode, but nothing much else. Kanavi at half HP just needs to be touched by a rogue spell flying in his general direction and he will be annihilated. 2 spells actually, considering he does have Banshees. I think he should most definitely recall. I don't know what the heck he's thinking he's doing here. He is not going to last very long. Get some HP, my guy. And just see EDG, just so much pressure. Kanavi finally going to get some health back, but at this point it might be too late as the first Nexus turret falls down. Now JJ using the Weaver's Wall to split up members of the team. Lovemao jumping in, getting a 4-man knockup, and Yagao jumping in as well, but Flandre is just tanking up while Viper is shredding the members of JDG. As we see here, Yagao taken out as well as his clone. Nothing will be saved from this man. Viper is so incredibly fed, and just like that, EDG, the win that we have prophesized them to take for the past 20 minutes finally falls into their grasp, into their laps. And EDG finishing up this series with a very clean 2-0, looking completely in control at all stages of this game. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of this series and the end of this commentary, and we cannot wait to see you for the next one. See ya!